This is the story of Dumbo. I had the story of Dumbo read to me when I was very young, and it was important to me to realise that not everybody's the same. Everybody's different for special reasons, and Dumbo was different for special reasons. Dumbo's a little elephant with huge ears. He's the laughing stock of the circus and has to perform risky feats. Can Dumbo's only friend Timothy Mouse help Dumbo to become the star of the show? We shall see. Let's begin. Mr. Stork flew down and landed on the roof of a circus train. "Oh, Mrs. Jumbo, special delivery for Mrs. Jumbo," he called. Several elephant trunks waved at Mr. Stork, drawing his attention. He hopped inside the train carriage. "So which one of you ladies is expecting a little bunch of joy?" he asked. The elephants pointed to Mrs. Jumbo. See all their trunks pointing? Everyone smiled adoringly at the little baby. "Achoo!" The little elephant sneezed. His ears, which had been nearly tucked behind his head, flopped open. They were enormous. The elephants laughed loudly. "Look at those ears," one elephant giggled. "Why, you should call him Dumbo." All this teasing made Mrs. Jumbo angry. Turning her back on the other elephants, she picked up her baby, carried him to a far corner and lay down beside him. She didn't care if Dumbo's ears were big. She thought he was beautiful. The next day, the township people excitedly followed the parade all the way to the circus grounds. Inside the elephant tent, Mrs. Jumbo was quietly bathing Dumbo when a bunch of rowdy boys ran in. "Look at those ears!" the boys shouted when they saw Dumbo. Laughing and jeering, they pulled Dumbo's ears. Mrs. Jumbo wanted to protect her baby. She picked up a bale of straw and threw it at the boys to scare them away. "Help! Mad elephant!" they screamed. They were being nasty. The ringmaster dashed into the tent. "Down, Mrs. Jumbo!" he shouted. "Lock her up!" he ordered. The trainers dragged Dumbo's mother away. They locked her in a wagon that was set apart from the rest of the circus. She worried about her little baby and wanted to cradle him close to her. Look at Mama, she's very sad. That night, Dumbo cried for his mother, but the other elephants just turned their backs on him. In a corner of the tent, a little mouse named Timothy sat. He had seen and heard everything. "Look at that poor fella," he said. "Everyone's making fun of his ears. What's the matter with them? I think they're cute." I think Dumbo's going to make a friend. Do you? Timothy introduced himself to Dumbo. "Hello, Dumbo. I'm your friend, and I have a plan to help you free your mother." At that, Dumbo forgot about being sad. "All we gotta do is make you a big star, but first we need a really colossal circus act." "Leave everything to me," Timothy said. Timothy's got a plan. The next day, Timothy put his plan into action. The ringmaster blew his whistle loudly, and the first elephant climbed on top of a large ball. They formed an elephant pyramid which rose higher and higher until it almost reached the top of the tent. "And now, ladies and gentlemen," the ringmaster shouted, "the world's smallest elephant will spring to the top of the pyramid." There's the circus act. Can you see that? A tower of elephants. But Dumbo's ears became untied and he stumbled over them, knocking the elephant pyramid over. Oh no. Trumpeting and bellowing, the elephants tumbled down, crashing into beams and platforms. The enormous tent began to sway and billow. Then, with a huge groan, the tent collapsed. Oh no. At the next day's show, the clowns painted Dumbo's face and dressed him up like a baby. He stood high up on a building surrounded by crackling, make-believe flames. Dumbo shook with fear, while far below, clowns dressed as firemen rode around on a fire truck and pretended to put out the fire. Can you see Dumbo right at the top of the building? Poor Dumbo. "The baby will now jump," a clown fireman announced. Closing his eyes, Dumbo leapt from the building. He crashed through the net and landed in a tub of wet plaster. The audience roared with laughter. The clowns bowed to the cheering crowds and ignored Dumbo. He was feeling hurt and miserable. Poor Dumbo. After the show, Timothy scrubbed his friend's sad little face. "I found out where they're keeping your mother. I'm going to take you to see her." A hopeful smile crossed Dumbo's face. Things wouldn't seem so bad if he could just see his mother. Later that night, while the circus folks slept, Timothy took Dumbo to see his mother. "Mrs. Jumbo, someone to see you," Timothy called. Mrs. Jumbo wrapped her trunk around Dumbo and rocked him lovingly. Sadly, it was soon time to leave. Tearfully, Dumbo and his mother waved goodbye to each other. They got to see each other. That's pretty special. The next morning, Timothy had a great idea. "That's it, Dumbo," he exclaimed. "Your ears! They would be perfect wings. You could be the world's only flying elephant." Dumbo wasn't so sure, but he trusted Timothy's instincts. He would try his hardest to fly. Let's see if those ears can be wings. Wow. The next day, Dumbo performed with the clowns again, but this time Timothy had an idea. He handed a feather to Dumbo. He said it was a magic feather that would help Dumbo fly. Holding it tight, Dumbo got ready to jump. Oh, that's very high. Are you ready, Dumbo? But as Dumbo and Timothy flew through the air, the feather blew away from Dumbo's trunk. Dumbo froze. Without his magic feather, he didn't believe he could fly. As they hurtled towards the ground, Timothy pleaded to Dumbo, "Open your ears and fly." The magic feather was just a gag. "You can fly all by yourself." Dumbo heard Timothy's words and believed them. And what's more, he believed in himself. Dumbo opened his ears, soaring up and up. The audience went wild as Dumbo zoomed around after the clowns, chasing them around the ring. They applauded thunderously as Dumbo performed loop-the-loops and rolls and spins in the air. Wow, he's very clever, that Dumbo. Dumbo was famous. All the newspapers carried pictures of him and Timothy. The ringmaster freed Mrs. Jumbo and gave her and Dumbo fancy carriage at the end of the circus train. Dumbo thought it was great fun being a star, but what he loved best of all was being with his mother again. That was a great story, and it's okay to be different.